Hello and welcome to the Perry Connection. I'm your host, Jessie Barth, and this evening we have in the studio two very well-known men here in Perry. You grew up in Perry, and they are Jeff Fitch and Mike Fitch, the Fitch brothers.
Hey, Jeff.
So welcome.
Thanks for having me.
And I have to say, when you woke up this morning, you didn't know you were going to be on the show, and I needed a substitute and called Jeff, and you brought Mike, and I can't thank you guys enough.
We've always been hoping, but
Oh,
finally
really?
today, now it's real, it's happening.
Well, you know, it's sort of, you were talking about mental telepathy, you know, it's sort of like we didn't plan what we were going to wear, right? And look at this, you know?
I mean, it's a fashion statement comment. Really,
It is.
Jesse.
I guess we're fashionable and...
They would let us into almost any place tonight, I think, so.
Well, I see
That's great.
you have your Rotary
We are.
emblem. Well, let's start out with Rotary, because that's really how I met you both.
Mm-hmm.
And how long, Jeff, have you been in Rotary?
Since 1987.
87, okay. And you're a past president?
Past president, past vice president, president-elect, and the assistant district governor.
Oh. And you're also the MC continuously, year after year, for the Rotary show.
Yeah, for years, Tom Hendrickson and I, a lot of people know and certainly remember Tom Hendrickson, and is the owner of CPAC. Mm-hmm. He and I work together, and now Doug Sieber and I work together at the show. So I guess we work for the right price, I guess.
Well, you're a great team.
We have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, well,
I'm
everyone
just
knows
glad he
that.
showed up in men's clothing tonight, Jesse. If you know the Rotary show, you never know what he's going to come out in.
You know,
Thanks, Mike.
Well, really, you know, you give your all, you know, and that might include,
It's fun.
cross-dressing.
We want everybody to have a good time, so whatever it takes, on a tasteful level.
Yes.
Of course, it all has to be still within bounds, but we want everybody to enjoy it, and it's such a, well, I think we've had it for 83 years now. It's such
Isn't
a tradition.
it amazing?
That we want people to look forward to it. There's only really two, major public performances on Monday and Tuesday night, and coming up in November. So
Yeah.
we want everybody to certainly come out and see us again, and we'll have a great time with them. And I think everybody has a great time every year.
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's one of those little local treasures.
Oh, it is. It is. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with Perry. In fact, before I moved to Perry in 2005, I went to a Rotary show and just caught. I caught what it was all about. And Mike, you grew up in Perry and left.
In Perry.
For how many years?
Left. 27, 30 years or so.
Okay.
Married my high school sweetheart, Robin Hughes.
Don Hughes's.
Don
and Sally.
Sally's
Mr.
daughter.
Music, Don
Yeah.
Hughes, Mr. Music.
Mr. Music.
Yeah.
And we've been gone since the late 70s. I went to college at Georgia. Robin was at Geneseo. We got married right when I was finishing college and started our careers in Albany, Georgia, in South Georgia.
Oh, really?
Started with Miller Brewing Company. I had a food science background and an MBA in sales and marketing, so it was a good combo for a food or a beverage company. And I liked the fact, free beer every month was pretty cool. And
He always brought it home too. That was good.
we started there and then transferred up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin in
okay.
the late 80s and had our son Matt at that time. And so we were there until 2011. And so we came back, and that's when I joined Jeff and all of the fellow Rotarians in 2011.
And we're glad you did.
Yes, very glad.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, wonderful organization.
Yeah, it is.
It does so much for the community.
It really does. Today the FedEx guy pulls in and at the shop, and so I go out and I say, he's getting out the big hand trolley. I go, wow, what do you got, a big package or something? He goes, I got all these boxes of books. And I said, oh, our dictionaries came in.
Oh, great.
Well, this is a project that, and he goes, well, what are all these dictionary books about? And I said, well, this is the 14th year that the Perry Rotary Club has been distributing dictionaries to third graders in our 4 local schools.
Yes.
We go to Warsaw, Perry, Letchworth, and Wyoming. And this year we'll be handing out 211 dictionaries to the third graders. And so I get them into the shop, and then we print the labels up inside so each child can have their name in it. But right below it, we put the Rotary four-way test.
Oh, great.
And so when we present the books, we always go over the purpose of Rotary to help out locally, nationally, internationally with projects, getting rid of polio, things that affect children.
Yes.
And families and adults as well. But it's something that every child can have their own book.
Yeah.
And it can really help them in the classroom. And this year I had one educator say, I don't know if the book this year, he says, because now he says we've got, the pads and all this. The teachers shut him down so fast. They came right back the next day and they said every child loves their book and they love to have their name in it, and they put it in their own cubby. They can put it in their backpack and take it home and study in it. And that book means a lot to a child.
Oh, it does.
He called back up, so forget what I was talking about. They're getting their dictionaries. So,
hooray!
So we're just right in the process now of just scheduling when we will go to each of the schools, and usually we'll have 4 or 5 Rotarians at each school, and we'll present the classes, and then we do pictures and all that.
Wouldn't that be a fun show to have a string of children here talking about their experience with the dictionary?
Well, as a matter of fact, they write letters thanking us.
Oh, you ought to see them all.
We take the time in Rotary to read those because they are hilarious.
They're
so
adorable.
fun. And
They're adorable.
They're so appreciative of it.
Yeah.
And, combine that with Read Around Perry, the rap program that's around. I was doing a little loop around the high school today at noon hour, and there was a whole group of kids sitting on the Read Around Perry bench, and the book thing was there, and they were all reaching in and looking at different books, and there was a couple of parents there, and one found one on baseball. It was so exciting, went running over and opened it up, and just to see that kind of excitement with that. Those kinds of programs is fun.
And the whole thing really cuts back to the important core of literacy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Literacy here, literacy throughout the world.
That's right.
It's one of the big differences that education can make. In our family, Mom said at least one of you ought to get educated, so that was Mike. So he got the 6 years of college, and I got like 7 years less than Mike. But
they 8, I went to school, so it was a trade.
But literacy is just so important.
Yeah.
And you've got to start early and instill a love of books in children early, not a love of computer games and computer programs and things like that. That may be a fun diversion, although I'll tell you, when my kids are growing up, I didn't allow it in the house. I know, I'm old-fashioned, all that kind of stuff. I said, well, I guess you'll have to play it at your friend's house, because here, there will be no video games and stuff. I said, you can go outside and play.
So
you can make your own entertainment.
Yeah. What effect did that have on your kids? Did they come back and say, thanks, Dad?
Oh, yeah. They don't really have any interest.
And what about their
in
kids?
those.
Do they do the same thing?
Yeah, they don't play the games and all, because they're always outside.
Yeah.
We were raised outside.
Right.
We were brought up on a dairy farm.
Well,
so,
tell me about.
We had a dog sticking a tire, and we thought we were the rich kids, around the whole block. It's like go out and chase the dog chase you, and we had a lot of fun.
And a mini bike and a bunch of tractors to
Oh
drive.
yeah,
An
and
old
a
Jeep.
barn.
Old
And
Jeep.
Willie's Jeep from World War II.
Yeah, 4 Willie's Jeeps.
So we thought, what
was
fun would there
fun.
be inside? We got to get outdoors and have fun.
And probably every season, winter,
Something different.
snowballs, and.
That's the beauty of
sports
Western
and-
New York. You have 4 distinct seasons. And they're distinctly different from each other. And that's the beauty of why we live here.
Yeah.
We call, people say, well, you have higher property. I says that's a scenery tax, because nobody has more beautiful scenery than the greens and the colors that we have in Western New York.
We
Amen.
had to realize that coming from Wisconsin, which is very similar to New York State. The taxes are a lot less, but the scenery and the landscape and that type of thing. But New York State offers such incredible, just where we live right here, a drive away from almost anything.
Yeah.
Which is really
Great place. And there's lots of stuff in New York State we haven't even
Yeah.
discovered, and we travel a lot and try to get around a lot.
Yeah. Now, speaking of traveling, I know that you snowmobile and you boat and you have a motorcycle. And do you do that as well, Mike?
A motorcycle?
Oh,
I've got his leftovers in my garage.
Maybe four.
4 motorcycles. So when all personalities decide to go out, you can each have one.
Yes.
Well, being left-handed, of course, I know it's a handicap to start with, so I'm sure that affects me in certain ways that I have to do all these different things.
Well, no, I know you, and I know you're a very giving person. You probably just have one for all your friends who might want to go with you.
I always like to have multiples, because basically that was the only way I can get friends to play with me. I have to have something they can use too to come
There
on
you
over.
go.
I had to get we picked up a boat this summer, a party boat for the lake. It had to be big enough that we could invite enough people that somebody would come, and we could fill up the boat.
Yeah.
And have a
Isn't
good
that
time.
fun? Just
Oh,
to have
yeah.
a lake right in your back. Well,
Oh,
you
it's a ride.
live on the lake.
Well, yeah, we live on the lake, so we went over and picked up Chip and Cindy the other night, Hendrickson, over at their kind of marina home and so
Right.
forth, and you can just pull up to somebody's dock and go, hey, you want to go for a ride? Yeah, sure. That's the lake atmosphere.
Yeah.
Which is the lake is a lot different now than when we grew up. When we grew up in the 60s and 70s, the lake you kind of looked at and go, that's kind of a scruffy place. It's not that way anymore.
No.
It's changed a whole lot, and a lot more has been put into the homes. There aren't cottages there anymore.
They're beautiful homes.
Beautiful homes.
It is beautiful.
Beautiful
area.
homes. Hey, but I have a nice motorcycle trip coming up this weekend. I'm going to Cincinnati and Kentucky and ride around with some friends down there. So
Really? Now, does Mrs. Lucky, your lovely wife, go with you, Nancy?
No, she'll be knitting her latest baby blanket.
Oh.
Yeah, she always knits blankets.
Okay.
But no, she's not much for riding on the snowmobiles or bikes. She kind of bikes. Yeah, bikes she can tolerate. Snowmobiles she doesn't really care for. It's too rough. But she really likes a boat.
Yes.
She has a good time on there.
Good call.
And she likes her convertible. She loves
Oh,
that.
all
She
right.
loves that. She loves giving her girlfriends a ride in her convertible. So.
There you go. And how about you, Mike? How do you and Robin spend your time?
Well, when we first came back a few years ago, we bought a great place back up in the woods on the West Hill of Warsaw, and it was a nice home, but needed a lot of work and a lot of attention, both the landscaping and the home itself. So we have focused on really making that the little getaway paradise that we wanted it to be.
Good.
So we spent a lot of time doing that. Like Jeff, I love to drive. I love to drive things fast, and Robin does as well. She's very good at it. We don't have a fast sports car per se right now, but in our past we've had a series of different sports cars that we've taken lots of trips with and things like that. So we're just enjoying getting back into the
life.
groove and constantly running into old friends that we hadn't seen in a long time, whether it was from high school or whether it was from past acquaintances, and that's been really a lot of fun.
You wouldn't recognize that house from when they bought it.
So you know how it is. You can get a piece of property.
Oh,
we
sure, I
got
know.
woods
Beautiful job.
surrounding us, lots of animals all around all the time, and so we've.
It's
Yeah,
like-
you can bag your deer within 50 yards of your house, really, and have your limit quick.
We've had a couple of families of fox that have made their home not too far away, and to watch them play is just a pleasure to watch the little kids get together and roll around and play, and all the natural stuff that happens in the woods. The interesting thing was we've always lived in homes where we've had some property around us in privacy, and we said, well, we're going to come back home. We're going to be townies. We're going to have sidewalks. We're going to be able to walk downtown, whether it's Perry, Warsaw, wherever. We're going to be in town. And we'd look at a home in town, and we'd look out the windows, and there's people in houses, and we weren't used to it. And so we said, okay, maybe we'll look for something a little bit more private. And so that's how we ended up where
Good.
we're at in the woods.
Well,
Wonderful
it's
place.
just great to go with the flow. And it sounds like you
We
both
have been.
have those kind of lives where you're, just really enjoying and making it your own.
A lot
it is.
of life.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Mike and I have found out, since Mike and I are so close in age, we grew up together. We've done everything together. Even when he was away, we'd talk or whatever. We'd always be on the phone or get together when we
There's
could.
15 months?
17.
17.
17
okay.
months apart. That we always had a similar attitude about things. When there's a door open, don't be afraid to go through it. And too many times people hesitate when they see a door and they see it open, when they start asking questions, go through the door.
Right.
It might be an opportunity, could be a great opportunity, but you won't know until you take a step forward.
That's right.
So if you always keep taking one step after another forward, you're going to achieve things.
Well, let's go through a new door. Let's talk about FastTrac, because you're both involved with the FastTrac program. It's from the Kauffman Institute, is that right?
Out of
Yes.
St. Louis. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm a graduate of the course, and I found it really quite fascinating. So if someone is in the audience and they would like to start a business or learn more about business or see do I really have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, let's just speak to that individual.
Sure.
If someone wanted to come to FastTrac, can you explain what it is and how they would go about doing it?
Well, there's a couple of sentences right here. This is like the most current notebook right here that says FastTrac New Venture. And on it says for aspiring and early stage entrepreneurs. People that are thinking of opening up their own business or going into business for themselves. Maybe whether they're a young person that they want to do it right out of the bat, or maybe they're a person that has worked for others for a number of years and decided, hey, I've got an idea or I've got a skill. Let me explore the idea and the possibilities of doing this now on my own.
Yeah, and that's a big door to go through.
It is.
Especially if it's full-time and you're thinking of supporting your family.
What happens so often is people have a great concept, they have a great idea, but they have no idea, how do I put this in motion? And how do I even understand if I should put it in motion? What do I need to invest? What is it going to cost me, not only financially, but my personal life, the professional goals that I've established? And the program, which Jeff and I teach in the spring and the fall, Wyoming County Business Center, the executive director, Jim Pierce, and his program manager,
Jennifer Tiska.
Tiska.
Yeah, Jennifer Tiska.
Jennifer Tiska do a fabulous job. We've got a beautiful conference room. We've got all of the technology that we need because we have an incredible online resource that provides tremendous, workbooks, skills, and all sorts of videos and case studies and interviews and that kind of thing. And as you join as a student, it's a 10-week program, and the objective is, by the time you start, let me understand my concept fully, and we take people through a series of exercises the first 3 weeks to understand their concept. Does it align with their personal goals? Does it align with their professional goals? What's it going to take financially? What kind of commitment? That type of thing. It's a lot of reflection, Jessie, and it's a lot of interaction, and it's a lot of, activities and that type of thing to really understand what it is that you've got. And after week 3, then there's a series of classes that now we take you down the path of building your business plan, one step at a time.
Like from concept analysis in the first 3 weeks to business planning in the next 7 weeks. What it really allows and causes people to do too is be brutally honest with themselves.
Right.
That's a number one key of what you have to be. They could be telling us stuff and we don't know, we'll quickly find out, but really you have to be honest with yourself.
And I found, being in the group, it's really like a support group.
Yes.
Because everyone is in the same boat.
It's a support, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's much better than going as an individual to talk one-on-one. This is, you're seeing how others are doing it. You glean their confidence. You help each other with suggestions.
A key is really building networking skills. Because networking, whether it be the soft networking skills of just friends and acquaintances and family that you have, or developing the professional ones, is a real key that we teach. And somebody says, oh, well, I'm really shy and all that. And I said, well, we'll help you with that, because most people might naturally be. And one of the things that people are naturally afraid of is maybe speaking in public or addressing people. Well, by week 10, I'll tell you, they're all up at the podium and they're pretty darn good. They're all experts. And at week 1, they would guarantee you they couldn't do it. But we also, like I say, teach them to develop the skills to branch out and to look for opportunities and reach for it, and to learn to ask the questions that right now maybe they don't know enough to even ask.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people said. Wow, I have a good idea. I have some money. I have some. I just didn't know that. Well, unless you're there to work with people that can help you, you're not going to know everything.
Right.
It doesn't naturally come to everybody. And starting a business like I did 30 years ago with my partner, we just stumbled.
Tell us a little bit about sign language.
Well, we started that in 1986. My partner, Dave Cato, Ron Bouchard, was with us until 1999, and he's in the ministry now. Ron's a great fellow, and was an artist and contributed greatly to our start. But we started in 86 with just an idea of, hey, let's get together and maybe make some wood things and let's see what we can do. And so we'd come up with an idea, we were talking with some people down south of creating, at that time, redwood signs. didn't know what the concept was or anything, but we quickly found it out and made a couple samples, started taking them around to people. The only thing I really knew to do successfully back then was to go and ask the most successful people I knew in the area what they thought of the idea. So I picked 3 people at that time. They all loved the idea. Most everybody else tried to discourage me. But I figured if the most successful people really liked the idea, I was probably onto something and that we should pursue it. And so that was 30 years ago. Now there's very little really redwood being used because the forests have been nationalized by the government, at least spare a few trees out there. So a lot of it's synthetic now, but you can do the same thing, same look, same product. And we've been fortunate to service people everywhere, out of state. We do a lot with the internet now. The internet's very important.
And you have some signs in Europe?
Europe, Africa, Japan.
Isn't that amazing?
If it's a great looking sign, it's a sign language sign.
Yeah.
We don't do them all, just the nice ones. So,
How does that
that's
feel
what I'm
to drive into a town and say, well, there we are?
It's a nice feeling. And when the kids were little, they could always spot ours. They'd go, Dad, that's one of yours. They go, oh, that's not one of yours, is it? You know, they were like, oh, you brutally honest critics, you. But the kids could tell.
And did you have woodworking skills?
No, Dave Cato does.
Dave, okay.
Yeah,
so
Dave-
isn't that
Dave
great
always worked with that.
you get a partner and together, maybe you've got the
Great.
people skills that did you go out and sell it?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk with anybody. I call myself a professional visitor. But actually, what I do and what I learned to do,
PhD.
a professional hole digger. Get my PhD skills. But I go out and it's like what Mike and I really teach in this course is when you're in business, you're a problem solver. Somebody comes to you, basically you have to realize they have a problem. Your task and responsibility is to solve that problem and to make it just go away and seem like the simplest thing that they did that day, so that if they ever need to address that problem again, they're coming back to you with no second thoughts or reservations because you helped them solve a problem. We're problem solvers in business. Somebody comes to me and says, I need to be identified. I need to be noticed or recognized, or somebody's got to be able to find me. That's a problem. My job is how can I solve that for them?
And that's where the research comes in for these folks with a great concept. Whether it's an organic farm, a florist, a bakery, a gas station, you name it, we've seen it. But they have to research the market area that they want to be in and determine, am I going to solve a problem? In other words, is there a need out there? If there's not a strong need, but it's a really unique thing, can I cause people to want things? We had a gentleman, Ryan McDaniel, a couple of years ago. You know Ryan,
Yes.
he does incredible.
Wonderful artist.
You
Fabulous
don't
artist.
need anything he has, but boy, do you want everything that he produces. It's tremendous stuff.
He's a sculptor.
Exactly.
And it's great to have that
That's-
kind of talent,
Yes.
you know, here
And that's
amongst
part
us.
of that. You know, the work. You know, Jesse, it's not easy work because, as Jeff said, you have to be brutally honest with yourself, but you also have to dig in. We do not do all the work
No.
at all for people. We facilitate and show them where to go.
Sure.
We show them how. We cause them to interact with each other, to help each other. We mentioned networking. We've had classes where we've had 20-odd people in that class and 2 or 3 businesses that couldn't come up with a name for their business. So we'll take 20 minutes, do a creative exercise, have some incredible. You know how that works
Right.
when you
Oh,
use
sure, that
everybody's
synergy.
creativity. It's just amazing. And that's the, I think, one of the most rewarding parts of that class is you catch the aha moments during those kinds of things when people realize, I got something really special here, it's really cool, I know I can solve a problem, I can provide a solution, and I've got these people to help me out, and I've got this huge workbook to rely on, I've got my online resources. That's when people walk away from this experience, this Kaufman FastTrac, and they say, wow, pretty special stuff.
Yeah.
And it truly is.
And they learn to trust.
Yes. And trust themselves, each other.
Themselves, their judgment, but also others. Because when they come in at first, you're sitting there with a table of strangers, and you may have anywhere when we'll have a class from 10 to 20 people that are in there, and most of them do not know the other person they're sitting next to, or they're sitting across. And you're talking about, you know, exchanging phone numbers, exchanging emails and stuff, and, you know, people are, you know, kind of a little leery and things like that. Well, I tell you, halfway through, they're all best buddies. And then, like Mike says, when they really come together and realize that each one, however the process happens, but they're there for each other. And somebody has an idea, somebody offers a solution. Ryan would come up with some great stuff for people. We'd write it on the board. He's very creative. He'd come up with a great idea, a great name, a great this, a great that, and we'd say, well, thank you very much. Because it isn't just relying on us. As Mike said, we're called facilitators, not professors, not teachers. We're not here to have them spit it back to us.
Right.
We're here to have them take what we help them facilitate with the material and expand upon that. Then bring us back what they found through their research.
And isn't it wonderful that an idea, by its very nature, expands?
Yes.
And it just continues
It morphs.
expanding.
It
and
morphs.
It's such a...
It blossoms. It's like it starts out as a little seed and you get to see it,
right up here, and now
Yeah.
you've got signs all over the world with your idea.
Yep.
Mike, just tell us, just briefly, what you bring to this. What is your business background?
I grew up in business with Miller Brewing Company. I started as a quality assurance analyst at the Albany Brewery. Went through a series of different positions at the brewery and understood how to make beer and how to package it on a very large scale. We were a 10 million barrel brewery, 10 million barrels a year kind of brewery. We were the most technologically advanced and sophisticated brewery in the world at the time. This is 1980 when I joined. So it was a great opportunity to learn the technical side of things, the importance of efficiencies, how operations worked. We had what was called MBOs together, management by objectives. You establish your objective, then you develop your strategies as to how you're going to complete that objective, and now you got to build your plans for each one of your strategy. This whole
Which makes
cascading.
perfect sense.
It all makes sense, and in the real business world with somebody like Miller Brewing Company, you have to do it, you have to execute against it, you have to measure it, you have to report back, and you have to make the changes to adapt as you need to. So I grew up in a great environment in the operational side of the beer business for 7.5 years. I ended up running a technical packaging group. We did all of the new packaging for Miller Brewing Company would run through our group to measure it against different equipment that we had to develop and design and all that stuff. So it got real technical, but a lot of fun. I transferred up to Milwaukee, as I said, in the late 80s, 1987. Had a great time transitioning into the corporate headquarters because in operations, everything is really tight and fast and furious, and in sales and marketing and that type of thing up at Miller Brewing Company, things are very creative and very highly respected as far as new ideas and new concepts and trying new things and spending the money and the resources to pursue them and that type of thing. So I was in sales and marketing for a number of years with Miller, total for 17 years. Decided that I wanted a little bit more of a work-life balance and moved into a smaller technology company after that. Again, stayed in sales and marketing. All of the skills transition. It doesn't matter what industry you go in. Once you learn the basics of business, identify your objectives, the resources that are needed, people, financial, whatever, understand how to accomplish those, measure them, do better, continue that. So you can take that to just about any place
You got to see results.
Yeah, and what a team you are to bring this to the folks here in Wyoming County who are taking this FastTrac class.
We started this in 2010, and
how many people have been through it?
so far we've had like 90 graduates.
Okay.
Okay, in fact, we had just a couple of stats that we printed out here today. We've had nearly 70 jobs created, 45 businesses.
Wow.
Yeah, so good success rate.
So,
Yes.
and I think a lot of it is that people have come in maybe with some good ideas, but they've learned what they've needed to learn and also attain the confidence. Because, see, you can gather, like Mike talked about, all the information, all this, all that in business, but you got to make a decision.
Got to do something.
Something's got to happen. You got to move. And that's the one thing we find that, especially in my business, I'm dealing with municipalities and governments, and a lot of times they're constantly surprised how fast we move because
They don't.
they don't.
All the red
They have a
tape.
more ponderous situation.
Yeah.
We don't. We don't execute, move,
Yeah.
get it done,
We teach if you make a mistake, that's great. Make it fast and move on.
learn from it.
Learn from it, move on, make it
So
fast.
humility is a very important aspect of this. Do you talk about that in terms of
It's in my newest book,
qualities?
How Humble I Am. It's under the Swellness chapter, but yes. Jess, thank you for bringing that up.
Well, what I
Self-published
find
again.
is, I find that we don't really have a lot of sort of personal power until we get that humility under our belt, and that enables us to try new things because we're not afraid of making a mistake, but also, just to listen to those inner voices that say, "Don't do it, do it," and not take yourself too seriously. And then if you find this is not the way to go, great.
If you haven't made
I'm not going to go.
If you don't make mistakes, you aren't learning.
Exactly.
But it's just don't keep making the same ones over and over and over.
Right.
Because in business, every mistake costs. But you learn from it and go, yeah, I learned that 1 years ago. We see things and.
Well,
So I want to bring up one quick
Good.
point that we haven't talked about yet, but is very, very critical to this program. Every week we'll have a guest speaker, and that guest speaker will be within the profession, whether it's legal, an accountant, a marketing, sales, business management, organizational structure. We will
Investments,
bring in
yeah.
investments. We'll bring in somebody that adds a tremendous amount of value through their real-world experience. And they also typically will offer a service that these young entrepreneurs will be able to count on. And the cool thing is, the one I like the best is the accounting group that we bring in, and they talk for $200 a month. Typically, small business, they take care of all the books, they take care of the income statements, the balance sheets, all of that. And that is very overwhelming to so many people.
Right from the start.
Financial
Right.
stuff is the scariest stuff,
Yeah.
learning all of that. And so that's something else that I would point out to the audience, that it's not just having to put up with
Right.
Jeff and I. We got some really
Right.
very significant guest speakers that offer very significant resources.
And we got
to
great
people.
sponsors too with the Bank Account Style,
Yep.
complete payroll processing,
And,
and First Niagara,
First Niagara
out of
just joined
Attica
us.
now. So these are people that have been with us,
okay.
especially
and they
Bank
talk
Account
about
Style.
trust. Now they
Yes.
trust you to bring them folks that
Yes.
will go on with their business.
And they believe, I think, also in the big picture of this is beneficial to the area.
Right.
Because we've seen some things happening in Perry. We've seen some advancements and some things
Oh,
happening.
yes.
And it's great to be part of that and to know that we're part of that in helping others achieve. Like when Olive and Ink opens up downtown and Canaan's Meat
Yeah,
Market and
Rachel,
stuff.
yeah.
And know that those are people that came through our class that are just local right here,
Right.
just right within here,
That's
that are making a difference.
That's right.
And that's always fun to see.
Yeah.
People love to see.
In fact, we're going to, I was just talking with Rachel Richter today of Olive and Ink about being on the show at some point.
Oh, wonderful. She
So-
would be great. She's fun.
Oh, she's a lot of fun, and she's very successful.
Yes.
And so we'll have her on a subsequent show, but
Great.
we've got to wrap up. But wow, this has been very enlightening and fun, as always, with the Fitch brothers. And
Thank you, Jessie.
I'd love for you to come back sometime.
Great.
I thought we've only used up 5 minutes. We've used up longer than that. But this is our 10th class, so if
Oh,
anybody
good.
it is interested, again, like Mike said, contact the Wyoming County Business Center, Jim Pierce or Jen
Okay.
Tiska. And
And what does it cost?
it's like $350
Okay.
because of the defrayment of our sponsors that really
Right.
knocked the cost down.
That's great.
It's a
Technically,
fraction.
when I was out there at headquarters, most of the people are paying $700 and beyond. Because it's like a college course as far as 30 hours, 10 weeks, 3 hours on one night a week.
Great.
I've been an adjunct professor with a number of colleges, and this is the most incredible deal I've ever seen.
Good.
It's
It's
really
just cheap.
spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Thank you for giving us this time.
Oh.
Appreciate it. A lot of fun.
Well, you bring such an excitement. I'm sure you'll get some people that are coming as a result of the show. So,
And we should
thank
have a
you.
whole show sometime on just snowmobiling, too, Jessie.
Okay. All right, we'll
Right
do
in the
that.
heart of winter.
In the heart of winter, maybe on location.
There you
I'll
go.
talk
do-
to Kyle
can do that
Adamczak
too.
about that. That's what we'll do. And I know that they will also be taping the Perry Rotary show
Yes.
this year.
Join
So-
us at the Perry Rotary Show.
Yeah, everybody, please come to that. Their public support is what allows us to
Huge.
work into the park and like
right.
with the latest, when we put in the splash park and stuff like
Yes.
that. Perry Rotary had a big part with the village.
It's great. It's a
The
great
public
place
supports
to
us.
be.
We
Yeah.
support them.
Well, and thank you for supporting us with your viewing of our show. And we'll be back again next month. And thank you very much, Jeff and Mike Fitch.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. And remember, we're all connected.